In 1997, when the last major change to the aged care system was undertaken, the system was put on a relatively sustainable setting for a few-year period. In about 2002-2003, we dipped into negative territory, and since that time, the financial sustainability, access and sustainability. I want you to remember those three words: choice, access and sustainability, because in the spirit of entering into this hypothetical, in the future we're going to have an aged care system in Australia that guarantees choice, guarantees access and is sustainable. Because today, the things that keep aged care operators awake at night is that we don't have consumer choice in a manner that we, the Catholic providers of aged care and other providers of aged care, would want for older Australians. We don't have a sustainable system. At the moment, government regulation allows a payment of about $27 per day for a high care residential aged care bed, when it in fact costs $41 to provide that. Do the maths, a non-sustainable system. And finally, we don't have universal access. We have a ration system where consumers of aged care have to find their way into an aged care service according to an allocation process. 113 care places per 1,000 people aged over 70. This is the reality of how aged care in Australia is presented today. Over the last decade, the regulatory system within which we currently operate aged care services for both residential consumers and, importantly, for consumers in their own homes, has gradually been running out of puff. In 1997, when the last major change to the aged care system was undertaken, the system was put on a relatively sustainable setting for a few-year period. In about 2002-2003, we dipped into negative territory, and since that time, the financial sustainability of aged care services around Australia has been under stress. There are today 1 million consumers of aged care funded via the Commonwealth. 800,000 of those are in community care. And it's very easy in a discussion like this to just focus on the bricks and mortar of a residential setting. But the comments I make are just as applicable to community care, and I can prove that by pointing to 10 years ago, where the average Commonwealth payment for in-home community care allowed approximately 7 hours per week of contact time for a community care recipient. Today, whilst the actual dollars paid has increased, the care contact has declined to a rough average of 5 hours. Yet what is the most pressing problem that most aged care operators today confront themselves with? Well, it's the growing demand and the declining presence of staff to be able to provide that care. Despite our concerns about financial sustainability, despite the challenge in guaranteeing access when needed, and despite the challenges of choice for older Australians, it remains the case that the most important barrier we face to providing good care in the future is the availability of staff. So, with that as the backdrop, what does the future look like for us? Well, let's assume we've achieved, through the excellent work of the Productivity Commission, and I acknowledge those connected with the Productivity Commission present here in this room today. Let's assume that government has embraced the final recommendations of the Productivity Commission and we have choice, access and sustainability in aged care in the future. Will technology be the saviour that we need in that circumstance? Well, if we don't get financial sustainability to the aged care community, we won't be in an opportunity to embrace the full benefits that technology offers to us. The discussion that we had earlier today about the types of technologies to my right are simply out of reach of most because of their price. And while we have a system that is not sustainable, these options are out of grasp for us. Yet the flip side of that is, or bore fruit earlier today in the presentation given by Silverchair. I think I've just given away my age and interest. Silverchain. And other providers of aged care who've recognised that the greatest benefit of technology in previous years has been in the simple things like doing rostering within our organisations. The simple presence of managing skills mix, managing a simple roster within an aged care organisation has been one of the most beneficial technological innovations in recent times. And for many aged care providers, particularly within the Catholic Church, we are still taking those small steps. The Catholic Church is not this one single entity. It is many multiples of parts. Our largest aged care approved provider has 2,500 beds within our network. Our smallest has 6. You can appreciate that the spread of capabilities that exist between 2,500 beds and 6 is immense. So we say the immediate opportunity for technology is to improve the business efficiencies of aged care providers. There is a role for the technology providers to help us do that with limited capacities. The cottage industry still exists in parts of the aged care community, so don't take those steps too fast. But even then, into the future, technology, as the Productivity Commission rightly says, is going to play its part and not become the provider. Which returns to the reason why the Catholic Church is in aged care in the first place. Our purpose is not to profit, our purpose is to provide human care, to provide it in a dignified manner. Catholic ethics, if you like, is as simple as respecting, cherishing life from natural conception to natural death. As we go about delivering our quality aged care within that ethical framework, we will be looking for where technology can help us most. And in the hypothetical context, in some cases, that is still helping us to operate our businesses in a professional manner. When we achieve a sustainability, when we achieve a system that encourages choice and universal access, that's when we'll have the opportunity for the full embrace of the benefit of technology. We're still some years away from that occurring. Thanks very much.